Welcome back to FlyEaglesFly News, where we bring you the hottest Eagles updates as fast as they break. The offseason has been buzzing, and the biggest question hanging over the franchise right now is the same one that keeps fans up at night. Who will be the next offensive coordinator? We all thought this would be settled months ago. But here we are, still waiting for the Eagles to land the right guy to fix an offense that has been wildly inconsistent. The rumor mill is spinning, and today a new name entered the mix that might make Eagles fans both excited and nervous at the same time. The latest update is that the Eagles reportedly interviewed Matt Nagy for the offensive coordinator position. Now, Nagy is not exactly a stranger to Philly fans. He has a history with the organization and a resume that includes both impressive highs and troubling lows. He was the head coach of the Chicago Bears from 2018 to 2021. And more recently, he served as the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs under Andy Reid. From 2023 through 2025, the Chiefs, however, appear to be moving on from Nagy and bringing back Eric Bieniemy to run the offense. That shift is significant because even though Andy Reid has always been the one calling plays, it still signals that the Chiefs want a different structure, and Nagy is now officially a coaching free agent. What makes this even more interesting is the context of Nagy's recent coaching journey. He was a finalist for the Tennessee Titans head coaching job, and he was widely expected to land that role. But the Titans ended up hiring Robert Saleh from the New York Jets, leaving Nagy without that opportunity. Now he is back on the market, and the Eagles have an opening that could fit his experience. The thing is, this is not just about filling a job. It is about finding someone who can bring a new identity to an offense that has been inconsistent, and that is why this search is dragging on longer than many fans would like. When you look at Nagy's background, it is clear why the Eagles are even considering him. He has deep ties to the region. Having grown up in Pennsylvania near Lancaster and attended Manheim Central High School, he played college football at Delaware as a quarterback, and his coaching path is closely connected to Andy Reid. He started with the Eagles as an intern back in 2008 and 2009. Then moved up to assistant coach in offensive quality control. He followed Reid to Kansas City and became the quarterback coach, then offensive coordinator, and eventually the head coach in Chicago, so he has that long history within the Reid coaching tree. And he has coached some of the best quarterbacks in the league. But the question everyone wants answered is whether he is the right fit to lead this Eagles offense. And if you look at the numbers, the answer is not so clear. In the 8 seasons where Nagy has served as either a head coach or offensive coordinator, his offenses have been average, landing around 19th in total yards and 18th in points. His tenure with the Bears started with a strong year in 2018, where they ranked 21st in yards and 9th in points, but after that, things declined quickly. In 2019, they were 29th in both yards and points. In 2020, they were 26th in yards and 20th in points. And in 2021, they were 24th in yards and 27th in points. Now, to be fair, Nagy did that with quarterbacks who were not exactly franchise cornerstones. Mitch Trubisky was not the answer in Chicago, and Nick Foles, who Eagles fans remember as the hero of the Super Bowl run, struggled outside of Philadelphia. And then you have Justin Fields, who had moments of brilliance but never fully developed under Nagy's system. So the fact that Nagy went 34-31 as a head coach is actually more impressive than people give him credit for, considering the instability at the quarterback position and the uneven roster. That said, being a solid head coach is not the same as being a great offensive coordinator. And that is where the debate begins, because if you ask me, I do not hate the idea of the Eagles interviewing Nagy. He brings value in terms of experience. He knows the system, and he has coached Patrick Mahomes. But I do not think he should be hired as the offensive coordinator. The main reason is his track record as a play caller at the NFL level. There have been times when his play calling has been questionable, and even with the Chiefs, where he had success. It is hard to separate that from the fact that he was working with one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and one of the best offensive minds in Andy Reid. The question is whether Nagy can take control of an offense and truly make it his own, or if he will simply become another coordinator who is heavily influenced by the head coach. The other big issue is the current structure in Philadelphia. Nick Sirianni is the head coach, and he has been flexible during this search. He has been open to different schemes and has shown a willingness to adapt. That is important because the Eagles have some key roster questions. That will shape the next offensive identity. The quarterback situation with Jalen Hurts is obviously the biggest factor. But there are also questions around A.J. Brown and Lane Johnson. Those are massive pieces of the offense, and if they are not fully healthy or if their futures are uncertain, it affects how any new coordinator can build a system. And then there is the issue of autonomy. Many offensive coordinators want full control over play calling, scheme design, and even the running game, but the Eagles already have one of the most respected offensive line coaches in the NFL, Jeff Stoutland, who is also the run game coordinator. The Eagles are not about to let Stoutland go or give up that part of the offense. He has been a foundational figure in their success, and he is a key part of why the Eagles have consistently had a strong run game under Sirianni. So any coordinator who wants to bring in their own staff or take over the run game will likely pause before accepting this job, and that is a major reason why this search is taking so long. Now, the Eagles are not just being difficult for the sake of it. This is a franchise that has been aggressive in building a championship contender. But they are also smart and calculated. They understand the stakes of hiring a coordinator. And they know that rushing into a decision could be reckless. It is not like hiring a coordinator is the same as hiring a CEO in another industry. But the philosophy is similar. They want to make sure they get the right person, not just the first person who says yes. So, the Eagles are casting a wide net and interviewing multiple candidates. And Nagy is one of those names. The interesting part is that some candidates have already turned down the job, like Mike McDaniel, who ended up taking the offensive coordinator job with the Los Angeles Chargers, and Brian Daboll, who is pursuing the Buffalo Bills head coaching position. There is a lot at play here. And it is not just about scheme. It is about fit with the organization, fit with the city, and fit with the dynamics of coaching in Philadelphia, which is a completely different environment than most other cities in the league. The bottom line is that this offensive coordinator search is not just taking time because the Eagles are being picky. It is taking time because the job is complicated, the roster has questions, and the Eagles want to make sure they bring in someone who can handle the pressure and deliver results. And if Matt Nagy is indeed being seriously considered, it means the Eagles are looking at experience and familiarity. But they are also trying to figure out whether he can be the right voice for this offense. And if you are wondering what this means for the future of the Eagles offense, it likely means one thing: change is coming, but the Eagles want it to be the right change. They are not going to rush into a decision just to make fans happy. They want to build something that can compete at the highest level. And they are going to take the time needed to find the right leader for that mission. Now, the question that a lot of Eagles fans are asking is why this offensive coordinator search has taken so long. It is not just because the Eagles are picky or because they are trying to make things dramatic. The truth is that this job comes with a lot of moving parts, and the Eagles have to be very careful about who they bring in. The dynamics in Philadelphia are unique. The media pressure is intense. The fan base is relentless, and the expectation is always to win now. So any coordinator coming into this situation has to be ready for a high-stakes environment, where every decision is scrutinized. On top of that, there are questions about how much autonomy the next offensive coordinator will actually have. That is something that has been a major sticking point in this search. Offensive coordinators want to come in and run their own offense, call their own plays, and bring in their own staff. They want the freedom to implement their system, especially if they believe that is what will lead to success. But the Eagles already have a structure in place. Jeff Stoutland is the run game coordinator, and he is not going anywhere. The offensive line is a core part of what the Eagles do, and Stoutland has built a culture and a system that the team is not willing to dismantle. That means any offensive coordinator who comes in has to be willing to work within that structure. They have to understand that they may not get full control of the run game, and they may not have the freedom to bring in their own staff. That is not a deal breaker for every coach, but it is something that can make the job less appealing to some of the top candidates. And when you add in the fact that the Eagles have a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who has his own strengths and limitations, the situation becomes even more complex. Hurts is a unique player. He is a dual-threat quarterback who can make plays with his legs, but he also needs a system that can maximize his passing potential. The next offensive coordinator has to be able to tailor the offense to Hurts' strengths, while also making sure the team can stay competitive in a league that is evolving at a rapid pace. Now, let us talk about some of the names that have been connected to this job. We already mentioned Matt Nagy, But there are other candidates who have been interviewed or are rumored to be in the mix. Mike McDaniel did interview with the Eagles, but he ultimately took the offensive coordinator job with the Los Angeles Chargers to coach Justin Herbert. Brian Daboll has also interviewed, but he is pursuing the Buffalo Bills head coaching job and may not be interested in taking the Eagles' role if he does not land that position. There have been interviews with Brian Daboll, Josh Grizzard, Jim Bob Cooter, Mike Kafka, and Zach Robinson, among others. Some of these names bring experience, some bring innovation, and some bring a combination of both. One name that has been floating around is Bobby Slowick, the former Texans offensive coordinator. Slowick had a breakout rookie season calling plays in Houston, and he learned under Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel. He is a young coach with a creative mind, and he has been somewhat under the radar in this search. He could be a very intriguing option for the Eagles because he brings fresh ideas, and he has shown he can innovate in a way that fits the modern NFL. Another name is Charlie Weis Jr., who is the offensive coordinator at LSU. He followed Lane Kiffin to LSU and has been calling plays there. He is a young coach who has experience with a high-powered college offense and could bring a new energy to the Eagles, but the bigger story here is not just the names. It is the fact that the Eagles are taking their time and doing this the right way. They are not rushing into a decision just to get it over with. And that is important because the offensive coordinator is one of the most important positions on the coaching staff. The Eagles have built a roster that is designed to win now, and they need someone who can maximize that talent. The offense has been inconsistent, and the team has not been able to reach the level that everyone expected, so the next offensive coordinator has to be someone who can bring clarity, creativity, and stability to the offense. There is also the issue of how this new coordinator will fit with Nick Sirianni. Sirianni has been flexible throughout the search, and he has been open to different schemes and ideas. But he also has a vision for the team, and the next coordinator has to be aligned with that vision. The Eagles are not going to hire someone who is going to completely overhaul the identity of the offense. They want someone who can work within the existing structure, but also bring improvements and new concepts that can elevate the team. That balance is difficult to find, and that is why the search is taking longer than expected. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds. Rumors are swirling around Philadelphia as whispers of a monumental move by the Eagles have begun to leak out, sending shockwaves through the NFL world. Sources close to the organization suggest that the front office is actively exploring a deal that could dramatically reshape the team's roster and signal their intent to compete at the highest level, while the details remain murky. Insiders hint that this is not your typical mid-season adjustment. It's something that could redefine the team's identity and send the league scrambling to respond. The Eagles front office, known for its strategic maneuvers, appears to be positioning itself for a high-impact acquisition, potentially targeting a superstar talent who could immediately elevate the team's performance. While names are being kept tightly under wraps, speculation has already ignited on social media and among analysts, with fans and pundits alike debating who could be the missing piece that propels Philadelphia into title contention. Some believe this could involve a trade for a top-tier quarterback or a dynamic playmaker capable of changing the trajectory of the season. Others suggest the Eagles may be leveraging draft capital or salary cap flexibility to pull off a move that few saw coming. What makes this rumor particularly tantalizing is the timing and secrecy surrounding it. The NFL, renowned for its fast-moving headlines and information leaks, reportedly has been blindsided by the Eagles' apparent stealth strategy. Observers note that the organization's willingness to act decisively behind the scenes could give them a competitive edge over rivals who are still reacting to earlier moves. The potential ramifications are vast. A single blockbuster acquisition could alter the balance of power in the conference, shift rivalries, and send shockwaves through fantasy football leagues nationwide, while Philadelphia remains tight-lipped. The buzz is undeniable. Fans are buzzing with speculation, imagining the possibilities and debating the team's next big target. Analysts are dissecting potential fits, projecting the impact on team chemistry, and weighing the risks and rewards of such a bold maneuver. One thing is certain: if these rumors hold any truth, the Eagles are preparing a move that could reverberate across the league and leave everyone else scrambling to keep up. The NFL may not see this coming, but the Eagles might just be about to change the game entirely. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.